Good morning, everyone. We're here with the VSuccess with Maia and me, Mario Michas from Lion Society. I'm in the Key Society as well. And today we're here with Angelica Antonakopoulos from Health Science. So Maia, you want to present yourself?
Yes, so as you said, my name is Maia Fukuyama, and I'm in my second year at Vanier College in the psychology program.
Okay, Angelica, could you please tell us a bit about yourself?
I'm a second year health science student, and personally, I'm a part of many initiatives in Vanier College. I'm a member of the Vanier Key Society, I'm a member of the Vanier Law Club, as well as the Vanier Philosophy Club, and I'm also an English tutor at the Task Center.
Great insight, and thank you for, participating in so many activities and trying to make the college a better place.
Thank you.
So Angelica, what would you say you enjoy most about studying at Vanier College?
Honestly, I know when people speak about their experience at Vanier, they always kind of talk about the social aspect, which is valid because you have a lot of people from different backgrounds kind of coming together, and it's a very enriching experience. But personally, I think that the quality of professors that you find at Vanier College is unlike any other. The professors, you can tell, especially in the science program, they're some of the smartest people I've ever met. They are very well versed in the topics that they're teaching. If you genuinely don't understand something and you tell them, they will find 101 ways to re-explain it to you until you can tell them that you understand. All professors in all programs, because I've had experiences with many of them, also seem to be very understanding, and they seem to be very open to conversation. And, during office hours, their doors are always open, and they're great at giving scholastic advice and life advice as well. They're very open to the idea that Cégep is more than just an academic experience, it's a social and personal one as well.
Great, and that's very true. I find that I agree with you in the fact that a lot of the professors are really here to help us learn, but also help us overcome our hurdles that we face along the way.
So you spoke about academic-related things. You're also on the honor roll. You're in the Key Society. But do you have any hobbies or interests outside or inside of school?
So I do work a part-time job on the weekend, and especially with COVID, hobbies are kind of limited at the moment. But I do really enjoy. I try to teach myself how to play different instruments. Right now, I'm focused on the ukulele. It's a bit of an experience, but it's more of just a private thing to kind of tinker with. I read a lot. I do some creative writing on my own, and because of COVID and kind of the limitations on where we can go, I also like to go on long walks.
What would you say fuels your interest in such varied and diverse activities as well as disciplines?
Ever since I was a young kid, I would always have a lot of questions, and my parents would always kind of try and introduce me to different aspects of life. They didn't want to hyper fixate me on anything. And they kind of just fed into my curiosity. So now that I'm older, I get this really weird rush when I learn something, and it's just, that kind of moment of, oh, cool, kind of fuels me a lot. And it comes to anything, honestly, whether it's philosophy or whether it's science. And I kind of describe it as, how people usually socially have like the fear of missing out. I kind of have like fear of missing out, but when it comes to knowing things, it's really weird. But I like the idea of kind of getting general knowledge on anything, because it also makes it easier to communicate with other people, right? When I see someone that has a particular interest, if I know even a little bit about it, it gives me an in to be able to develop a conversation with them.
Yes, and that's very true. It's incredibly important to be a well-rounded person, especially as you're going into university where you kind of have to be more on a fixed kind of trajectory. It's good to still have those different aspects of yourself.
Exactly.
So you're in the sciences, specifically in health science, and I know that you have an interest for scientific related subjects. How come? How did that interest start?
So again, my parents had a very particular way of raising me. My father, he actually did electrotech at Vanier, so he has a bit of a scientific background as well. And whenever I'd ask him a question, which was very often, he would always reply with a little bit of scientific theory. When I would ask him, why is the sky blue? He actually found a way to explain why the sky was blue to a 7-year-old. And it went for a lot of things, and we would always have a lot of conversations like that. So since I was a child, I was kind of exposed to sciences and how things work in the inner workings of life. And my grandfather would kind of got in on, not on the joke, but got in on the topic a bit. And I was 7 years old, 8 years old, getting chemistry sets and working on my own lab manual at home after I would do each experiment. So it was just something I really got used to, and I really got used to appreciating as well.
Yeah, I think it's actually a lot of people start with the chemistry sets and all that when they're younger, and it's a great thing to see that people sort of follow their childhood passions.
It's a really beautiful thing, right? Because you're kind of fostering this love that you have for something, and you're not just going into any particular field of study for empty reasons. Especially in a program that's kind of brutal like sciences, it's important to have that fundamental love for the topic, or else you're just going to get lost in the difficulty of the program.
Certainly, certainly.
And Angelica, what would you say are your future academic and professional aspirations?
So after Vanier, I hope to go into either microbiology and immunology or pharmacology in university. I do plan on doing a bachelor's and then at the very least a master's, and eventually start developing my career in pharmaceutical research and development.
You're involved in many different types of activities, and I know that you've also started a couple of them. And you're also helping some other VKS members with their own initiatives. So do you have any advice you could give to somebody that wants to start a project or sort of create something?
The brutal truth of the matter is you need to get used to hearing the word no, because if you're starting an activity, you need to put it through to many people. You need to get your ideas out there. And not everyone's going to see the world from the same perspective as you do. So even though you think you have this $1 million idea and you have all the aspects worked out, you may present it to someone that you need on your side to be able to propagate this initiative, and they may not see it the same way you do. Now, this doesn't mean that you take the word no and you sit on it and you swallow it and you give up. You have to take that word no and learn to turn no into yes. So go back, don't be shy to rework your project, figure out what the people you were talking to didn't like, and see if you can kind of not only compromise, but develop your project in a way that will allow it to go into its future phases. Don't be afraid to rework things, and don't be afraid to work with people. I know that a lot of people who start their own initiatives kind of think, oh, it's not mine unless I do it all myself and unless I'm the sole proprietor and I'm the only one backing it. But that's a very easy way to burn out quickly, and your project won't grow to be something as beautiful if there's just one person behind it. There's a lot of value about speaking to and working with people that are different from you, that see things differently from you, that can bring their own ideas and aspects to the project and kind of grow it in a way that you never probably would have even thought of growing it.
Yeah, I think that a lot of people sort of underestimate the importance of having others to help you. So that's a great piece of advice.
Thank you.
And you're also a tutor at the Task Center at Vanier. Would you care to elaborate on why you chose to do so and how one could get involved?
Well, at the beginning of this academic year, the Task Center reached out to me. They had seen my grades in English specifically, and they thought that I would be a good candidate to become an English tutor. And then I decided to do so because I am, by nature, I do help a lot of my friends with English, but I don't just like giving them the answers, right? I won't just sit there and retype their essay for them or kind of tell them exactly what to write. I do remember I had a couple friends where we've sat down together and we've gone over their paper paragraph by paragraph. And this has been since high school. We've gone through each element of the paper, and I've tried to explain to them, what went wrong, how they can reformulate it, how there's no right answer as long as you kind of follow the structure and kind of learn how to draw the information from the text. So I figured that this was something that I could apply to help other people that I didn't know through the tutoring center.
Great. And it's amazing that you're actually able to help other people regardless of whether you personally know them or not. It's a great way to reach out to the community.
It's my way of giving back, or I try.
So you're a member of two clubs, the philosophy club, the law club. You're on the honor roll. You're in other types of activities. You're a tutor as well. How have you been able to manage all of that? Do you have any time management advice you could give to our viewers?
There are a couple. The first one is to be honest with yourself. A lot of people's phones nowadays have that screen time option on them. Take a look at that. You do kind of need to come to terms with the fact that you're spending 6 or 7 hours a day on social media, and that's kind of sucking time away from other things that you could be doing that are more productive. I'm not saying not to go on social media at all, but just kind of monitor that usage. Be honest with yourself in that respect. It's also important to set goals. Personally, during the semester, I like to set a goal where I do between 5 or 6 things a day. whether it's blowing through a reading, finishing a web work, doing something for one of my initiatives, just kind of 5 things a day, tick it off the to-do list. And I plan my week. Sunday night, I sit down, I write my master list. It's like, okay, here's everything I need to get done before next Sunday night. And then I just plan it out 4 or 5 things a day. And it's in my agenda, and I sit there and I cross it out. But at that point, you also need to be lenient with yourself, right? Most of the weeks I can do the 5 things a day, but there are some weeks where just, there's a lab report that takes me longer than I thought, or my English reading is longer than I thought. And I don't get those 5 things done in the day. It doesn't mean that I failed at it, right? Or even if I get a mark back on a test that's not as high as I would have wanted it to be, it doesn't mean that I'm an entire failure. This situation is rough for everybody. School is rough in general, even before COVID had happened. And you need to kind of take your failures in stride, because if you're not lenient with yourself, you're going to spend most of your time thinking about how you're not performing up to standard, and that's going to just waste more time. Beyond that, you do need to prioritize. I think that's a lot of things that some of my colleagues lack, is they sit there and they're like, I'm going to do this lab report that's due in 2 weeks, but I have a physiology test tomorrow. So you kind of need to learn to deal with the most pressing thing before you can get to the things that you would like to do. And you also need to know to ask for help. Because I know a lot of friends get stuck, even myself, I've been stuck on problem sets for hours and hours. And it just gets to the point where I'm trying anything and I'm not understanding what I'm doing. And it's not very proactive to sit there and spend hours doing a problem when you can ask for help and kind of cut away some of that wasted time.
Yeah, I think that a lot of people should learn to have some indulgence for their own mistakes. And I think that it's discouraging when you don't get things done, but you can't get too discouraged, because then it'll affect your future productivity.
Exactly. We do encourage a bit of a rigid environment, especially with CEGEP. It's very fast. Some programs are 2 years, right? Think of you do 6 or 7 courses a semester in 2 years. That's a lot. It's very dense, right? So it's between balancing your life and your school, there's guaranteed to be some things that fall through the cracks, and it's not something that should be faulted exactly. It just needs to be something that's reworked.
Agreed.
So Angelica, do you have any parting academic or life advice that you'd like to share with our viewers?
I think on the topic as to my last answer, I would say honestly, learn to embrace your failures. I know a lot of people going to Vanier would like to progress to university or even graduate school, med school, law school, and beyond. The academic process is long, and if you've succeeded up until now, congratulations, that's fantastic. But also don't see any failure that you may face along the way, whether it's a course or whether it's not being able to get into a school, as you being incapable. Just kind of learn that there's value in failure, that there's growth rooted in failure. Take a moment to reassess, to regroup, and to kind of see what lessons you can take out of the experience. Move on, and you'll find that with time, with learning to do that when you don't succeed, you'll end up in a better place than had you not done that for yourself at all.
Great insight, and definitely agree with you. It's very important to establish your own value of self-worth before letting anyone tell you or dictate what that is.
Exactly, because it's very easy for people to say things to you or to say things about you. But at the end of the day, you're the only one that knows the full story. You're the only one that knows why things didn't go right. So that's where you need to be honest with yourself and assess what you can do moving on.
Okay, so for all our viewers, we've come to the end of the episode. So thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed today's interview with Angelica. And Angelica, thank you for participating, and also Maia. And we'll see you in the next one.